Sir, up here, and then I'll come back to you. Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to thank you for being here and doing what you're doing today, and something that I think is long overdue. But I think that that when saying that not to address how we got here is important, because what happens is it gives a picture of where we are today, a false look. And I think what the gentleman just mentioned is also very important, is that there were proposals that were not responded to, and so when it says that there was a request to terminate the contract, as it was said, and the way it was planted to the community needs to know the truth, is that was done under duress, because as a result of the contract, you had to turn that termination in, because that was required by law in the contract, not because People TV just came to a position that they no longer had interest in the station. And what way it was put in, Ms. Sonia, was that the city didn't get engaged until after this occurred, as if this was a free will act done by People TV, and as a result of that, now the city needs to respond because the agreement was terminated. It had to be terminated by force, because if they had not done that, they would have been in violation of their agreement. And I think that the public needs to get, at this point, the story, because a lot of folk are here not producers. They're here because they're community, and they need to finally get the true story. And lastly, the fact that there's been some things that happen on the legislative level. We have some legislators that are here today that didn't do their job. They know they didn't, because only 2 of them responded when that bill was on the floor, because they were not aware at the time. They did not respond to also give the city the support that they needed. And I think we need to step up, because of this is not only Atlanta. This is across the country, and there's some proposals for this to occur beyond Atlanta for 2013.
Right. Just a point of clarification with regards to the contract. There's actually a year left remaining on the contract, and there is a 60-day, I believe, pre-termination notice requirement, and that was what was executed by People TV. But there actually is another year left on the contract, but People TV did execute what was required under the contract within 60 days prior to termination, because of the lease agreement, I believe. But I wanted to make sure that that was clear. With regards to the statement of a national problem, I agree. 20 states are now subject to statewide franchising laws. And because of the number of PEG stations that have gone black, including, for instance, Los Angeles, who even had a 1% and a 1.5% above gross, even they went dark. It's a major, major problem. So much so that that's why I think we're looking at bipartisan support on the issue with the CAP Act. Because I should say, both sides recognize that this is a problem.
Thank you, Martin. And I'm going to come back to this table. Yes, sir, here, and yes, in front.
Richard Bowden, veteran producer at People TV. I'd like to commend Felicia Moore for her stand in opposing HB 227. And even though our current mayor as a state senator supported it, I'd like to commend you guys for allowing us this option, and him making the commitment, his office making the commitment, saying that he was going to not allow People TV to go black, public access to go black. We're going to hold him to that. It is particularly interesting to me that many of the council people, majority I've had on my show, Pat's had on her show, other producers have had on their shows, have supported public access with their voice, but not with their vote. And they will be called upon that. Everybody who is elected official has to run for re-election. We are a group of artisans. We are producers. We are writers. We are directors. We are filmmakers. We have a documentary that has everyone on council pretty much supporting People TV. So if we can rent, and this is not a threat because we did not come here to be confrontational today, but we can rent communities, theaters, and centers and theaters. Having said that, we're here to see that we do what we can to advance the process of this being safe. Now, I have one question, and it might go to the city attorney or somebody on the mayor's staff. particularly interesting to me also is the fact that I believe $4 million comes to the city of Atlanta through franchise fees. Historically, those franchise fees were initially cities around the country developed contracts with the various cities and the public access station and allowed those franchise fees in part, and we realized that 227 changed all that. My question, however, is that if $4 million is coming into the general fund, okay, $4 million is coming into the general fund, why, pray tell, cannot a mere 10% be used, say for instance $400,000 on a continuous, sustainable basis to fund public access in Atlanta?
I think that that's a great question. And it gives me an opportunity to put some of this into some context. Just so you all know, I was a journalist for 10 years, so I love the First Amendment. I believe in it deeply. I love newspapers, magazines, artists, and I think that what you just said, the fact that I can't speak for the council, but the fact that so many council members have actually said we do support public access television, the fact that we as the mayor's staff are sitting here saying that Mayor Reed supports public access television means that the support is there. I think, though, we have to put into some context the economic situation that the city, like most cities in the nation, have found themselves in over the past 3 to 4 years. We are in the worst economic recession since the Great Depression. When the Reed administration came into office, the city faced, that was in January 2010, so just under 2 years ago, the city was facing a $48 million budget shortfall. In 6 months, the Reed administration was able to close that budget gap and finish the 2010 fiscal year with $10 million in excess cash. It was still really hard. And in fiscal year 11, the year that we just completed, things were hard also. The city has been in a position where it's had to do a lot of belt tightening. Not too long ago in this city, we were talking about furloughs and blackouts, and thankfully, the Reed administration, in partnership with the City Council, has done a tremendous job in turning around the city's finances. But as you all know, the unemployment rate is still high. Revenues are still being forecasted to be below expectation, so it's been tough. So the franchise fees that you're talking about do go into the general fund. Perhaps there could be a discussion about allocating some of those funds not only to public television, public access television, but where I sit in the Mayor's Office of Communications, I also, with Michael Carswell, supervise City Channel 26. You all should know that City Channel 26 really doesn't have a budget beyond the personnel who are out there filming and trying to make sure that city council meetings and things that are being done by your city government are able to be viewed. So it's not just public access television. City Channel 26 also has very, very limited funding, really nothing beyond personnel. So I think that this is a good question for the city. I think that, you know, again, I wasn't here when that decision was made, but I could guess that the reason why the franchise fees go into the general fund was because of the financial situation that the city found itself in. And that perhaps as we start coming out of this recession, there may be an opportunity to discuss that further.
15 seconds.
Thank you.